forward so our camera can take a picture of you and not of me. So,
Makes sense.
nice to meet somebody who has the same
haircut
as I have. Nice to meet you as this. So, we share already something.
Yes.
I think we share also the love for food, isn't it?
I hope so.
You love food?
Yeah. Me, I think it's beyond loving. It's something that is more an addiction.
Mm-hmm. And how do you get out of this problem to have an addiction and on the other side to make a profession out of it?
Well, I think that it's not any longer a choice for me, but I tried when I was younger to actually get away from it because I was in a family of people who were more going to university, and I was trying to have an idea about doing that as well, but food kept pulling me back. So.
You must be the nightmare of every chef.
What do you mean?
Well, you've never learned what you did. I mean,
that's it.
In the traditional way.
I'm not a chef; those are. But I don't know. I think it went okay for Veranderdreer, Heston Blumenthal. Not to make any comparison with these guys, but I think that sometimes when you don't go down the normal road, then you have to do things differently. And that kind of approach is something that I like. In Denmark, the formation, the school is 4 years. And when I was starting, when I wanted to start as an apprentice, I didn't want to spend 4 years. So I went another way, but I ended up using more than 4 years. So
you said you didn't want to wait 4 years, you didn't want to lose 4 years.
That's the thing.
Huh?
Yeah.
I think. You were very polite. Also, er hat gesagt, 4 Jahre lernen in Dänemark, das wäre ihm zu viel gewesen. So hat er entschieden, das nicht zu machen. Er hat gesagt, er hätte dann nicht die 4 Jahre warten wollen. Ich habe ihm dann gesagt, eigentlich hast du gemeint, du wolltest nicht 4 Jahre verlieren in der Schule. Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, wir freuen uns auf Jakob Mielcke. So, present your team and then let's rock.
Thank you so much. And very nice to be here in Switzerland. With me today, we have Nicole Server, who's been for me for a few years now, and is our pastry head chef. And without being a chef myself, or taught chef, we actually had the luck when Stephen went to his, what do you call it, when you finish school as a chef? He did that very recently. He's been with us for 3 years, and he was awarded a gold medal. Stefan Pedersen. I need you to ask me, or I need to ask you a favor, because my PR, when I get home from these trips, you always give me a lot of shit because I don't take any photos. So, grüß dich, wie geht's miteinander? Yeah, that was about it. What I know from Swiss German, but we'll see if we can manage anyway. Does anybody understand? Do you all understand English? Does anybody not understand? We won't need to translate? Okay. So, I'm gonna tell you just a little bit about how this whole thing started for me. As we talked about in the beginning, I wasn't probably meant to be a chef, so it actually happened a little bit by coincidence. I was being pulled into it. I think that I'd been, as a kid, I was into all kinds of things, what you would call creative crafts, and food just ended up being the place that chose me. To make a very long, boring story very short, after having traveled a little bit to France and to England, working for the main personality I was working with was Pierre Gagnère for 3 years. I came home to Denmark, and as I said before, I didn't want to use 4 years as an apprentice in Denmark, but I ended up the 3 years working for Pierre Gagnère, working 100 hours a week. That probably makes 12 years of school in Denmark. So I ended up having my apprentice years just shortened down a little bit. I had the possibility to open up a restaurant that you see up here with my associate. He's called Hurtigkarl. He was a chef. He's older than me. He's 66 today. And he was a chef in the 80s, a very big and renowned Danish chef. And today he owns half of the restaurant with me. And he's in charge of all our functions and our office. And it's very good to have this kind of personality with experience who doesn't interrupt at all in food. That doesn't work. But who is a little bit of a nestor, like an old personality that you can work with and talk to about some of the difficulties about running a restaurant. Because today I think that you need to wear so many hats when you are a restaurant owner and a head chef. When we opened up our restaurant, it was in 2007. We took over this this building. When I say castle, you get the wrong picture because it doesn't look like a castle. But it's actually a part of an old castle in Frederiksberg, in the center of Copenhagen. There's a big park. In that park, there's a castle, and we have one of the building adjacent to the castle. And this is a very old building in Denmark. It's from the 16th century. And when we took over this place, I ended up spending a fortune decorating it, spending 6 months trying to do some kind of room that would actually be the frame of what kind of food we should do in there. I didn't know what kind of food to do, so what I thought to myself is I'm gonna decorate the restaurant first, figure out what kind of a place this is, look around into the garden, and hopefully our frame of reference in food will provide itself. And in the toilets, this is one of the toilets. It's on the other side of the kitchen, so you have the room in the middle, and then you have the kitchen. We thought that in the toilets we needed something crazy to balance up the fact that we were behaving a little bit nuts in the kitchen, and then the toilets should have some kind of crazy balance to that. The room itself, we thought we needed to be somewhat respectful to this very old castle building. So we did only a few things. What was very important for me was to invite the nature, everything organic, inside. So this is a little bit of a short story about the restaurant. Nature is something that's I think a lot of chefs in my generation have this idea about nature, and I don't know. I think what we try to strive after achieving in our restaurant is to obtain some kind of proximity towards nature. So we don't want to make it one-to-one, like copy nature or be nature. We want to get inspired by nature, and in that way, not copying it, but just going towards it, nearing it, visually getting ideas from it. And having the garden, all the pictures you see here is actually taken from just outside the garden. I was a little bit in a hurry before I went here, so I couldn't go that far. But so these things are actually very important to us when we do the dishes and design the menu today. The restaurant is 11 tables, so even though it could fit 90 people seated the right way, we end up having between 25 and 35 guests every night. The menu is between 18 and 19, 20 servings. And yeah, actually, everybody's pretty much having the same thing. They don't have to decide that much, which make us, we have a very stable price per person that is just about 400 euros for wine and food. And I think it's 90% of the guests we have, they get the wine menu, so there's a lot of pressure on our sommelier as well in order to do the pairings for the food that we do. Because actually, I see it as a theater. This is not a restaurant where you go in and you choose exactly what you feel like. This is a place that you only go to when you want this experience that we're giving you. And I think to go to us, if you don't know us, you have to be adventurous, I would say. I think so. Should we cook something? Yes. Well, we're going to try to do a few dishes today. One more thing I could say about our place is that you probably all know about this Scandinavian wave that René Redzepi, restaurant like Geranium, do they ring any bell here? A little bit? Okay, Noma? Oh, a little bit? Not that much. That's impressive. And actually these restaurants, those guys are, of course, Copenhagen is a small place, so we are all friends that we're the same generation. And I think that they started out doing the restaurants. René had a very big symposium where he wanted us only to look inwards and only use Danish ingredients. When I opened up my restaurant, it would have been very wise to follow his example, because that would have made it so much easier to reach the entire world. But sadly, our approach was a little bit different. We wanted to do something that reflected where we come from, which is, of course, Scandinavia, Denmark. But we also wanted to bring in some souvenirs. So when Japan and some other Asian countries is a very big influence in our kitchen. And to give you a little bit of a picture, I think some of the aesthetics in Scandinavia, when you think about our furniture and our architecture, has a little bit more actually to do with how you do things in Japan than Central Europe. That's actually my idea, but I don't think anybody agrees with me. So what we do is actually we try to pick things from just outside, doing dishes with it. So a snack you could have in the restaurant would be salads that we do ourselves. We're trying to become gardeners as well now. So we grow salads just outside the restaurant. As a vinaigrette, we use walnut that we just press out all the liquid from the walnut. It has this very intense, nutty, bitter flavor. Lovage powder and salted egg yolks. Egg yolks that we salt and we hang up in cheesecloth and we dry them. And yeah, this could be an entree eaten with your hands as a snack in the restaurant. As I was telling you, another thing that keeps entering the menu is actually when we travel. Actually, right now, I didn't bring that dish here, but because I've been a lot to Switzerland, mostly the French part, in the Canton Valleys, skiing, and I have friends there. Actually, we have a dish in the restaurant that we should have brought that is a little, it sounds weird, but it's a little bit like a cheese fondue with turbot. Does that astonish anybody? I think it's, yeah, but it's difficult to explain when we didn't bring it. Another trip we made was actually to Thailand, where they have this tom yum soup. So we wanted to recreate this dish, trying to keep some of the flavor, some of the exotic flavors, a little bit of the spice as well. So we did raw shrimps, and when we served it in the restaurants, we take a broth, like a shrimp broth, that we just cool down. And this shrimp broth has actually a lot of the aromas that you get from using galanga and all these roots. Then we split it up, so the coconut that would normally be in the middle of this dish or cooked together with it is also frozen as a powder. So when this dish enters the table, it would look like this, and then we come with a hot broth, like a consommé, with a little bit more of the chili, a little bit of an oil, lime oil, and yeah, people will get a spoon, and on we go. we try to keep it in a way where when people eat in the restaurant, they have to eat some of the dishes with their hands, actually. And sometimes when people arrive to the restaurant, we send them out in the garden with a glass of champagne and a snack, and sometimes they can sit outside the restaurant as well. Normally, all tables have a table outside the restaurant and inside the restaurant. So if you want to start outside and go in and then go out again in the evening, it's possible. As a little bit of an Asian flavor as well, this dish is like a green curry, but we did this at a point where the rams in the garden was just growing up, you know, the wild rams, this garlic plant. We did this while they were coming out at the end of April, start of May. And we wanted to do like this green curry base, so again, very exotic, not very European, but we wanted to use two ingredients that were very much in season at that moment, rams and asparagus. We are very proud of our asparagus in Denmark. So this dish is actually yuzu. So I'm very happy that you just had a little bit of Japanese ingredients on stage before. But yuzu is this lemon, this Japanese lemon that has, it's astringent like a lemon, but it's also have a little bit more of an exotic perfume than a normal lemon. So we have a gel beneath all this. We have an emulsion where we cook in the asparagus. We make a small crudité. And as the Danish, I think when Noma has closed and all of us are gone, the European the Scandinavian chefs, these herbs will probably be what you remember from us. This is actually not something you grow. It's like, what do you call that? Scraps, like garbage herbs? What is that called? Weeds. Yeah, weeds. That is something that has become very, very famous in the Danish cooking. To finish this, we have this warm green sauce that is, like a green curry, spicy, but not too much, hopefully. And just to give it a little bit more of the street food character, we have a whipped cream with a little bit of a fermented shrimp with it. So, like green curry garden dish, not enjoyed on the street in Thailand, but maybe a little bit of the street in Thailand visiting the restaurant in Copenhagen. I think that we were working a lot with right now in the restaurant. Actually, it's I've felt this urge from front of house staff that they really want to be a part of creating like chefs are. I think we have this. I don't know if you have the same problem in Switzerland and in Germany, but in Denmark, the young people who go into the hotel schools, they want to become chefs. We have a problem getting people who want to become waiters. So that's actually a big problem in Denmark, that the waiters are not as good as the chefs are. I think a very big part of why this is that some restaurants today, the chefs are the creative brains. They are the ones that deliver on the plate, and sometimes the waiters are just the people carrying the plates. This is, I think, this is first of all not true. But it could be very bad for our business if the chefs end up having to be in the room and in the kitchen themselves. I don't know if you know, but in Europe or in Denmark and Scandinavia, we have a lot of tradition now for actually the chefs coming into the room, introducing all the dishes, which I think is good. But waiters have a different craft, and they are supposed to be able to read the guests that are in the room, what they need, present the restaurant in the right way. I don't think chefs do that normally very well. But this dish actually had help from our restaurant manager, because he started out a project doing kombucha. And kombucha is, very shortly explained, this organism, this mushroom that you can make a liquid from. It's supposed to be very healthy, but if you do it right, it's also extremely tasty. And if you have a wine menu like we have that goes with the 20 dishes, if people don't drink alcohol, we need something different. So we made like a tasting menu of kombucha, this liquid, and we flavor it, season it with roses from the garden or beech leaves or anything. So this dish is actually it's a very bitter root that we grate. I actually don't know what it's called in English, but what's it called? Yeah, horseradish, yeah, of course. Horseradish, make a cream from that. It's beneath all this. On top of this, we have cucumber sliced very thinly. The cucumber we marinate in a tonic, like a homemade tonic. So the bark from trees that we make the tonic from. And this is all front house staffs that does this. And I actually like the idea of getting them involved in preparing some of the things for the guests. On top of all this, we have pomelo and razor clams. And when we do this, we had to bring this, but I'm sure you all know, Denmark is this coastal region where we have the sea very close. You can't be more than an hour from the sea anywhere in Denmark. So everything we get from the sea should be very fresh. So when we do this in the restaurant, the razor clams are taken out seconds before we do the dish. So when it comes into the room, they're actually moving. And people are biting and chewing into something that seems alive. It isn't anymore, but it sure acts like it. This is also a very famous Danish weed. Probably have it everywhere, but it has this oxalic acid, a little bit like a tiny rhubarb. And it also looks like it when you see the color on the stem. So this is a very cold dish. The small pieces of fruit, they're frozen still when it's carried onto the table. And then we have a sauce which is made from kombucha and fish sauce that we pour over. So this is again like a fresh start. This is astringent. It has a little bit of a tone of, I would again say Vietnam maybe, if anybody's been to Vietnam. This very astringent, very fresh, herby cuisine. So yeah, raise the clams. So we're leaving the Asian sensation for a while. Like I told you before, we have a big tradition of producing asparagus in Denmark. And we have one producer called Søren Viuf, who's famed for his asparagus. And this dish is actually a little bit how do you say, homage for Søren Viuf. The idea is just to take asparagus, the white asparagus, and we cook them in a broth made with lardo. So lardo, to give it just this is a vegetarian dish almost. So the lardo just gives it a little bit of the fatness. Then we take it into grated potatoes, a little bit of chives, some pistachio, and the most important thing, which is pine nettles. When the sprouts come out in the early season, which is right now, this is one of my favorite dishes to do. just a very simple dish, and we cook it and we leave it to have some sort of bite. We don't want to get it soft. We need vegetables up north, where we don't have the sun half the year. It's almost not there. We really need our vitamins. So I think everybody would say that in Denmark, we don't cook the vegetables as much as we do further south. So they have a little bit of a crack, which makes it actually more difficult to cook. You have a palette? Yeah. So for this sauce, again, very simple classic sauce. We take the best butter we can find and we smoke it in our smoker. This is also something that you probably know from the smoked salmon. It's a very big Scandinavian thing to smoke stuff. If you've heard of a place called Cuisine, which is in Copenhagen, they smoke a lot of stuff there as well. I don't know if you know this place. We fill this emulsion, which has this very smoky, very rich aroma, with bleakroe. Bleakroe comes from Sweden, and it's a very special fish that, as far as I know, only exists in Sweden. So, asparagus, green asparagus with pine wedges, and smoked butter and bleakroe. I think one of the things that can get confusing if you ever visit us in Denmark is that sometimes you would think of a Scandinavian restaurant only doing Scandinavian food, because that's what we've been doing for the last 10 years. But we decided not to go that way, and so every time we have some kind of inspiration that we want to show, we figure out if we think we can put it into our menu without confusing people too much. And I think one of the places that I've been recently that has made the biggest impact is in South America. So the Mexican cuisine, some of the restaurants that you have in South America these days are very interesting, and they've been a little bit through the same process as Scandinavia. 10, 15 years ago, nobody would know any restaurant in Copenhagen. But I think from taking our own ingredients, our own cuisine seriously for some years, and also traveling to other big countries, France, England, Spain, to cook, that has given us a very big help. So this dish is actually a little bit of a dish inspired by South America. It's pork breast that we grill in the green egg. We couldn't bring it on the plane, so we were lucky enough to borrow one here. We grill it, we season it actually with fermented pineapple. Does that sound weird? Because pineapple hasn't been used in the kitchen in Denmark for 20 years, and now we're bringing it back. So pickling the pineapple, using it as a glaze for the pork breast is amazing, I think. And actually very easy. When we serve this, we want to serve it with black mole and green mole. So the green mole, of course, is based on coriander, avocado, and the black mole is basically 3 tightly written A4 pages that we burn with a lot of chili. It takes 3 days, and then it becomes very strong, very intense. The pork breast, we cover actually up with actually the skin we make it cracking. We fry it, and then we fry popcorn as well. And we use a few of the herbs we grow in the garden just next to the restaurant. So this is I don't think that I would think high-end gastronomy when I saw this, because this is actually like a refined way of serving something from a barbecue party. But and it is exactly that. No more, no less. Have the green on. So pork breasts glazed with fermented pineapple, black and green mole. One of the things I think that made the gastronomy in the north part of Europe famous through these last couple of years is actually foraging, going out picking weeds or bark from trees or all these kind of things. And I think that we're trying to take that a little bit further in the restaurant. I like to go hunting myself. And although it's very difficult to find the time for it, I have 2 small kids, below 2 years now, so I'm practically up all day and all night these years. But when I can, I try to go out and actually hunt for some food for the restaurant. And we've done this for a year now, and it's working. It's illegal. But it's working. I can say that because I'm in Switzerland. So I don't think nobody's going to come get me in Denmark. But the idea of us not being able to, as a chef, choose a living animal in nature, taking it down, controlling it throughout the process of getting it to the restaurant, skinning it, making it hang, keeping it cool, I think that's stupid. We can order food that is wrapped in plastic, but I can't use food that I've chosen myself while I was still alive. And I think that's a shame, so I've become like a little bit of a renegade. So maybe I won't be able to come here next year because I'm in the prison, but let's hope not. Throwing them away. So this is another vegetarian dish. This is to show you a little bit of a different way of cooking. We like to do dishes that are simple. I think what we do, like what we show here, is very simple cooking. There's a little bit of technique somewhere. There's a lot of choosing produce. This is a vegetarian dish as well, where we use yellow beets. This is completely carried actually from 4 interesting tastes that reunites on a plate. And either you like it or you don't, but I think it's very interesting. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the best tasting dish I have, but it's every time we pull it on and put it on the menu, this is something that people, it astonishes them, and I think that these days when I design the menu, I don't try to do the best dish I've ever done. That doesn't really interest me anymore. I'm trying to curate these 18, 20 different dishes that will give everybody sitting in the room kind of a voyage, like an experience. That sometimes you need to do a very, very strong dish. Sometimes you need to do maybe a dish that's a little bit more simple, a little bit more smoothing. This would be a dish that we would do to make some kind of fun, make people think of what's going on here. So it's a crumble made with coffee and blueberries, yellow beets, and then we are doing a siphon which is made from espresso. So it's like very, very, very intense. And the yellow beets again have been fermented with a little bit of the pineapple from before. And then we have just a layer of radish to finish it off. And some malt. So, moving from some of the savory courses into the sweeter part of the menu, something we like to do is, I don't know if you've been eating in Scandinavia, you've probably tried this other places, but we don't necessarily only use the normal sweet elements in our desserts. Actually, we use a lot of stuff that you would never see in France in a fancy restaurant. So we try to use vegetables, we use spices, we use a lot of things that I would say actually that the desserts are less sweet in the Scandinavian countries than they are the further south you go. So it's also an acquired taste, I would say. But I actually love it, because I think that a menu should have this crescendo where you start out, things get more powerful in taste, and then suddenly they go down again. If you have this like it goes up and then it just ends in one sweet, cataclysmic bomb of fat and sugar, I mean, I can't eat that myself anymore, as you see. So what we do is we take like a whipped cream, and it's actually seasoned a little bit with jasmine. The ice cream is sorrel. Sorrel made with this, what do you call it? Apple cider, yes. Apple cider, and it gives this very farmhouse taste to a very fresh ice cream as well. We take a little bit of salad. And these are actually grass. This is grass powder that we put on. So, I don't know if you saw that picture, but in the front of the restaurant there's a big lawn, very well kept lawn. And the idea about this dish is actually that it should be a little bit like going out and eating, just taking a bite of the lawn. How that would taste. If you did it in real life, it probably wouldn't be very, very nice. But if this could be like a refined way of doing this, few flowers like sticking up, but most of all this acidity, this green, fresh acidity with a little bit of hints of something peppery, something with a little bit more exotic flavors as well. At least that's how I imagine it. But this is a pre-dessert, something taking you a little bit into the desserts. So this dish is, I think if you were only being exposed to very classic restaurants, I think people would have a little bit of a problem with this dish. Actually, it's the idea, the frame of reference for this dish is actually that everything evolves around grains and corn. This is all we're actually using, and of course seaweed. So the ice cream is like caramelized rice. I don't know if anybody's been to Japan, but the way that they get flavor from something as simple as rice always amazes me. So the idea about this dish is to get everything out of the corn and not use too much other stuff. So we use millet, we use buckwheat, and actually when you limit yourself, and I think that's all about what the good part of the new Nordic cuisine is, that if you limit yourself, sometimes you find out that when you use something like buckwheat, it actually occurs that it has a lot of vanilla taste in it without using vanilla. And I think this is one of the ways where you kind of evolve with creativity. So we have all kinds of grains, rice, that we put on top of the dessert. Sunflower seed cream. A little bit of fried buckwheat. And this is seaweed. I don't know if you saw the very beautiful, lovely lady, I think she's probably been there already, who was gathering seaweed. We go to a very small island with her every year, and we gather all the seaweed we need. She's called Hanne, by the way. She's a sweet lady. So, fried seaweed. This is one of the dishes that probably sounds weirder than it is from just looking what's on it. AO nori, like a very fine nori that we get from Japan. And the last thing is warm buckwheat. I think something very funny happens when you have the warm and the saltiness and the cold and the sweetness in one dish, and then a lot of caramelly, nutty flavors. So this is our grains as a dessert. Thank you, everybody.